we rolling?
We rolling.
They see me rolling.
Two very different songs we just sang.
What were you singing, Limp Bizkit?
They see me rolling.
That's a classic.
I know,
That's a good
right?
one.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our Rollin' episode of Red Wine and Chaos. I am Ash, and that is Lar, as always.
Hello.
And we're coming at you after another week of chaos. And we've got it for you today.
Slightly, just a little. Nothing major.
But we do have some major stuff coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Lara's birthday is next week, y'all.
Yeah, I'm going to be the big 3-8.
Years young.
Years young.
Years young. I'm not mad about that.
I'm not mad
Are
about
you
it.
mad about that?
No.
Is 38 going to hit you like 30 hit you?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, good.
I'm not. For me, it just feels like, I don't, it just feels like another year
Oh, good.
on the notch, on the belt.
I don't think
40 might hit me hard, but no.
I feel like 40 should hit all of us hard in Mexico.
Yeah, that's what we talked about, right?
We have, yeah. Because that'll be my 15.
Your 15
That'll
anniversary.
be our 15-year anniversary.
Yeah, and 40 years for a number of us that same
Mm-hmm.
year. So I feel like that would be a great opportunity for us to just go have one big birthday bash celebration.
I couldn't agree more.
There's going to be a couple that are a little older. Doesn't mean you can't partake in the festivity.
Seasoned.
Seasoned.
You can help us get through 40.
And then there's going to be a number of us, a handful of us. Let's see, me, you, John,
TC.
Nicole, TC.
There's more. Hold on. Who are we missing?
Nobody, because Brooklyn's a young bitch. Steph and Eric and Lauren
And Sarah.
Sarah will have already
Been there.
been
Brendan
there.
is young.
Brendan is a young fuck. It's everybody.
Any other 40-year-olds that want to join us,
Sure.
feel free.
Yeah.
Any 45-year-olds that want to join us.
I mean, any age. We don't discriminate. We're just
No.
going to have like a...
you just aren't allowed to
big
be
bash.
25.
Yeah, and you wouldn't want to hang with us anyways, I think, if you were.
Just a bunch of old pregnant bitches running around. The club, I can't have a bunch of old pregnant bitches here.
Oh, God. Well, let's hope that's not the case. Let's not
For
hope
any of
that's
us.
the case. Skirt. Pump the brakes.
We be done with that, y'all.
For my 38th birthday, I'm going to get my tubes tied. That's my gift to myself.
Just in case anyone was wondering, I was quoting Knocked Up, the movie. If you've never seen it, I don't know where you've been living.
She wasn't being serious. Nobody go there. Trust me. We wouldn't be in the club if we were pregnant. That's not true. Ashley was. But
I was.
That's because she was forced to be because it was my birthday.
I totally was. And I wanted to throw all of you off the roof of Monaco Bay. All 8 of you.
Rightfully so.
Including my husband.
Rightfully so. That was my first birthday following giving
LeVar.
birth.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And it was...
Y'all were wild.
Yeah, I was wasted. It didn't take much.
Y'all were wild.
We were wild and probably irritating as fuck.
You know, it wasn't too bad.
No.
Because here's what happened is I think you all recognized that you were wild. And so a couple of you, I can't remember which ones, probably Nicole, if I had to guess, was one of them, kept bringing me like lemonade and a cocktail glass with a straw and a lemon.
Oh, to
so
make you feel like
it made me feel like I was a part of the party.
That sounds about right. Nicole may have slipped a shot in there and you wouldn't have even known.
Oliver's fine. Ish.
Listen, I had no idea I was pregnant with LeVar, and there's definitely pictures of a night that I went out, like Four Locos night that I went out with carrying him and had no idea.
We just told the story with my
To
mom
your
and
mom
Mary.
Yeah.
That there were several occasions that I went out and was plastered and had no idea I was pregnant.
Yeah.
There should have been several red flags went up when I had 3 beers and was throwing up all day.
Yeah. It's not like you.
No. No, not even close.
It's not like anybody that I associate with is. Matter of fact, now that I think about it, if you're throwing up after 3 beers, you're not my friend.
Bye.
Bush League.
What is this, amateur hour?
Oh, man. I swear, so this weekend I went with my brothers and my sister-in-laws to Warren Dunes, which was super fun.
Yeah.
Never been there. Great beach.
It's cool.
Great beach. Absolutely have to go back. We have to take it. It's a great
Take the
beach.
kids.
Yeah. And I will say this: they were patrolling that motherfucker though. They get on their 4-wheelers and patrol that thing regularly to make sure that nobody's drinking. And these Bush League amateurs like took a bottle out there.
Yeah, again,
idiots.
It's like taking glass to the pool. How dumb do you have to fucking be?
Yeah, it was so stupid. So anyways, all the rest of us smart, older, seasoned folks, as Ashley calls us, we're very smart in concealing our alcohol. So, what I will say, though, they had an amazing food truck. First of all, those people, it's a taco food truck, and it's authentic.
I love tacos, and I love food trucks.
Oh, my God, it was so good.
Yum.
I got the carne asada tacos, and with the cilantro.
You don't even like cilantro.
I don't, but it was delicious. I do like cilantro if it's not overdone. And it was perfect. The steak was so tender. It was well worth the wait. There was a wait. There was a long line. And it was so good. And then they had elote. Elote? Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We had some of that. It was so good. It was
That's
authentic.
like that. I made that elote pasta salad.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, no, that shit was fire.
Stephanie had it too.
Much
couple
easier
weekends
to
ago.
eat. Did she?
Yeah, was like,
is somebody going to take that to the...
Yeah, it's already been requested. Stephanie had like
somebody, but I mean you.
Yeah. Stephanie had 2 bowls of it at John's birthday when we made it. And she was like, well, obviously this is what you're bringing to every function moving forward.
So is Anne coming to the party?
I don't know.
I don't recall if she did RSVP.
But Anne, if you're listening, I'm going to need you to pull the pickle dip together.
Like, you can't fuck it up. I love you, but I don't want pickle dip nachos this year. I refuse.
You were such a trooper.
I wanted to love it.
You were such a trooper.
I was going to make it work because I love it that much. But if that ever happens again, we're fighting. I love you, but I want you to do it right.
We will be on a friendship timeout.
So there will be no smoking before you start putting that together.
The pickle dip needs to be done.
Before you have fun.
No questions asked.
Okay, so now that we made that clear, I'll text you because I don't think you listen to this regularly. Pretty sure you don't. I don't see Columbus on the geolocation.
We can see that. You. We know.
We can see you and we can see you not.
I'm also calling on you, Nicole, in Texas.
Yeah, there is no Texas. It's only been our local Michigan supporters. And somebody in Colorado.
Oh, John's friend.
John's friend. Where are our friends?
I have no idea.
They fell off the map.
Bunch of bitches.
Anyways, so pickle dip, Warren Dunes, and amateur hour with 3 beers or whatever. So
moving on. Let's talk about this wine. Speaking of amateur hour,
what is on my chin? Why didn't you tell me it's something on my
chin?
chin?
I don't know. Do you have a chin hair?
No, it's food or something. No, I plucked my chin hair before I came here.
Is it coconut?
It might be
from the 7-layer bar. That trash ass bar.
No, I did pluck a chin hair before I came though.
You have to. Do you also have car tweezers? I need car tweezers.
I do.
Because I feel like that's when I find the chin hairs.
That is always when I find the chin hairs. I'm driving, and then I'll be like,
the mirrors are different in the car.
Yeah. No, that's a great idea,
tweezers.
Though. Car tweezers. Good
We've
idea.
hit the age. Welcome to 38, where you now need car tweezers.
I did ask Kathy for a new golf bag.
Oh, yes.
Which would be great if I'd get my clubs out and use them sometime before the
John and I have not golfed enough
I've
this
not
year.
golfed at all.
I don't like that.
That's horrible.
I'm not for that.
Not really for that either.
So let's find a time and change that.
Oh, yeah. Shroud Mountain.
Yum.
I can pronounce it.
It's a California wine. We can pronounce it.
It's a California wine. It's a beautiful label. It's really pretty.
It's so pretty.
It's a cab. It's a 2020 straight cab. Cool little story though. Many of California's wine growing regions are graced by warm days and cool afternoons. Fog wafting
Look
off
at the imagery
of the Pacific Ocean helps create long ripening seasons, adding depth of flavor to the wine produced here. This California cab benefits largely from this phenomenon. Shroud Mountain boasts flavors of luscious plum, ripe blackberry, integrated with layers of mocha and notes of subtle black pepper. Interesting. Medium bodied, this wine has great depth and personality.
Could not agree more.
It's delicious. Probably one of my favorite cabs, straight cabs, no blend.
Yeah.
Straight cabs that we've had.
I agree.
to date.
I agree.
It's very smooth. I do not taste the black pepper though.
I don't really either.
There's no spice to me at all.
I wonder if we don't taste the black pepper because we associate it with spicy, right? Like biting into a chunk of black pepper.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a little warm, and I wonder if that's what they mean by black pepper. I don't fucking know.
You feel the warmth?
Like a tiny, tiny bit. I don't feel it in my chest. I just kind of...
Maybe.
It has like a nice mouth feel.
Maybe that's what...
Bringing that word back.
That's what you did there. I like it though. I really do like it.
It's over there. I'm not getting it.
You know what? Now that you say that, yeah, there might be a little finish of pepper in there.
Yeah,
but it's coming
not,
at the end.
Yeah, it's not
it's
like
not hitching your
and
face.
it's not aggressive.
No. The mocha notes, I can kind of sense a little bit of
like a little chocolatey.
Yeah, I like it though. I love it.
It's very good
It's very good.
for two women who don't typically go for a cab.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say don't typically, there are a lot of cabs sitting down there.
There are.
Because it's just not something that we
avoid
go
them.
for.
Yeah. And trust me, I picked up about 3 blends first. And then I just was finished rummaging through the box. And I was like, I can read this.
Let's go with this. Let's make it easy
try
today.
it. Fuck it. And I'm glad I did. It's really nice.
It's kind of making me want to try some of those cabs that are down there.
Well, I can tell you right now, we're on the end of the bottle.
Yeah.
We're not slowing down on these glasses.
No.
The first 2 went down. I mean, that was that kind of day anyways. I could have fucking shotgunned a bottle of wine today. But it's delicious.
It's very, very good. It's very easy to drink. And I'm glad there's another bottle down there.
Yeah. So what are you going to give it?
I'm going to give it 3.
I'm going to give it 3 too because it's a cab. And it's nice.
We've had a string of 3s.
We have.
I am for it.
We've had some good wine.
The universe knows.
Clink, clink, clink.
We need the good wine.
All of it.
That's what it
I need
is.
all the good juju.
Okay, so last week we talked about kind of some big and upcoming stories. And, in this world, nothing is easy, nothing is simple, and nothing is linear. And healing is not linear, growth is not linear. And sometimes we just need to take a step back to recognize that. And so I know we talked that we had this big plan for this big story and y'all aren't ready. And it turns out neither is Lar. So we are all going to extend Lar some grace. We are going to let her growth be ever changing and ever flowing. The story's not going away. It will come out, but it'll come out when she's ready. And I promise you're not going to want to miss it. It's a good one. It's a big one. It's an important one. None of that has changed. But I feel like us being transparent and being honest and vulnerable, we may have jumped the gun a little bit. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No. I'll be honest with you. The one in living, what it is that we're referring to, you ride some emotions out. You ride some highs, some lows, whatever you want to refer to it as, some adrenaline. Everything's kind of pumping, and it's like, you know what? This is how I've got this, and I've beat this, and now I'm ready to, and that's the beauty and the ugliness of real life.
Yeah.
I'm in a very different place today than I was last week, Wednesday.
Yeah.
And that's just me being honest and vulnerable, and
it doesn't mean we're not growing, and it doesn't mean you're not
no
beating this or any of those terms that you just used. It doesn't mean none of that's happening. It just means that it's not for all of you to hear yet.
No, it's a very it puts me in a very vulnerable place, and there's a lot of I got to do a lot of work. I got to do a lot of onus on my own, and I don't think that I would be doing myself any favors, or anybody any favors for that matter, in a place when I'm just not ready. So I appreciate all of the support and grace that I get from this woman sitting across from me at all times, and the level of understanding that she has, and the friendship that is here, that is non-wavering and dedicated and unconditional, which is what you seek in relationships with people. And so I didn't even have to. I was in my own head. I was panicking, and I was beating myself up, and I was upset, and I was, Laura, what the fuck? And then, I reached out to Ashley. I'm like, I'm not ready. And she was just met me with complete grace and understanding. Like, okay, no worries. I completely get it. This is your shit. Whenever you're ready, you rock it. And so here we are. And I ain't ready. I ain't ready. I had a therapy session today, and it's an ongoing process. And so, but we say that we're going to move on, obviously, to a different topic to talk about. But to anybody who's struggling with anything out there, if you've ever felt, guilt or shame or embarrassment, it's normal.
Mm-hmm.
It's normal. And try to give yourself some grace. I think that's the best piece of advice that I could give you, is in those moments when you're struggling, try to give yourself some grace, and remember that without, oftentimes pain is followed by growth, right? So that's the goal here. That's the goal.
And I have no doubt that you'll get there. You'll get to a point where we can share the story, and we can share it in a way that's going to be effective and helpful and impactful.
Mm-hmm.
And no story is worth sharing until it can hit those things.
Well, until it can truly be told with all the truth that you want to. I don't like to half-ass anything I do, for that matter, in life. I try not to. But I just felt it. I was like, nah, I'm not there. I can't. I'm not, because for one, I'm not going to pretend to be in a place that I'm not. I'm just not ready. And so that's where we're at.
Yep. It's your journey, not mine, not theirs.
Yep.
It's yours. And I'm here for you whenever you're ready to share. But I will say, do you remember last week when we were talking about what we should do in a past life?
Mm-hmm.
And I casually threw therapist out there. It was real cash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add that on to my list.
Yeah.
One tiny little nugget that Lara shared with me today that her therapist told her is that she has homework and she needs to write some shit down. And let me tell you, I've been telling Lara to write some shit down for 2.5 years. Longer, actually, longer.
Yeah, even past this.
But I have been telling her to write shit down, and not in some dream journal, and not in a guided journal. Just pick a fucking piece of paper and write it down. I've been telling her that for years. And sometimes we just crave that stamp of approval. And I feel like I got it today. In the form of your therapist.
You did. And he be dropping, he's through me, he's been dropping nuggets, and you're like, oh, I like that. And so now you guys have aligned in a certain way. He's asked me to sit down and to write out some things, and to there's a lot of just parallels with things that are happening in my adult life that have happened throughout my entire life that you'd never think, and if you're ever in a place, and therapy is, and we've talked about this before,
we are advocates
complete
of therapy,
because I'll tell you what, when I'm not in it, I can feel it. And even in my moment today with my therapist, I mentioned to him, these are some of the feelings that I'm feeling. And I used the word embarrassed and, guilty and ashamed. And he said, okay, let's stop here. And he said, what I want to do is, and this is after him and I had been talking for, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. And he said, okay, let's just stop here. I want to put a pause in for a second. He said, you and I have been dealing with each other now for, year and a half, almost 2 years. You've been coming to me, and I just want to make sure. Well, I want you to be very transparent. I just want to stop here and clear up anything that needs to be cleared up. Is there anything that I've said that makes you feel that way in any way, shape, or form? And I said, no, absolutely not. I said, that's why I come to you, because I don't feel that way. I can come to you and I can speak my true self. I can tell you literally everything that I'm feeling, and I've never felt that way with you. So, and he was like, okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I don't ever want you to feel like anything that I'm trying to guide you with is that way. And I said, no, that's why I need this relationship, and that's why I contacted you last week and said, and he said, okay. So we wrapped up, and he said, so are you wanting to be? So I go bi-weekly just based on insurance and everything else. And he said, are we back? And I said, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Bi-weekly. Yes, sir. I need that. He was like, okay, great. Well, here's your homework assignment.
So, I need you all to go to therapy. And I need y'all to write everything down.
And it is for some, and it isn't for some. I know some people where it's just not something. But here's the thing. Here's what I want to stress. Here's what I want to stress about therapy, mental health, and any of the above. You have to be willing to own your shit, and it will not be effective, and it's not going to work if you don't. And so you can go to therapy all day long, but if you're still blowing smoke and there's smoke screens and everything else, then you're not truly going to benefit from it.
Right.
My therapist knows all of the ins and outs of me, the beautiful and the ugly, and I've come a long ways. There are certain areas in which I sought out help from him when I initially went to him that are in a great place. And it's been ever evolving for me. So while I started here, and this is why I came to you, and that piece seems to be tied up pretty well, with the exception of moments here and there, but overall, the reason that I initially went to see him has nothing with what I'm dealing with today.
Right.
Completely different. Two separate things. Wasn't even going through, I'd say a year and a half, 2 years. No, this is longer.
I was going to say, I think you've been going to him.
No, probably like three
right?
and a half years. Yeah, maybe like three and a half years. Because now I'm thinking about the initial reason I went to him has nothing to do with 2.5 years. So, yeah, so I'm talking 3.5 years, right? So that whole situation nipped in the bud. We're thriving over there. And so it's like when you start really unpacking everything, you're going to dig into layers and things that you never knew impacted you in the way it did, which is where I find myself today. Which is where I find myself with this, what I'm currently struggling with is so it's back. You gotta go back. And I didn't even know. And so, but if you're not willing to own every ounce of your shit, where you can say, I know that I am the reason why I'm talking to you today.
Sure.
Here's what I know. When I say I know, I'm not the only person in this situation, but here's what I know. My part in it is. If you're not willing to do that, and you're not going to be raw and honest, and that's the beautiful thing about therapists. How many people you think they talk to on a regular basis who got some real fucked up shit going on? Daily. That's their job. And everybody's shit looks different. But
sometimes I feel that way about the gynecologist.
Oh, yeah.
Like when you go, like, do you know how many old crusty vaginas they probably look at? Like, they don't give a shit about mine.
Get this. I went down a whole rabbit hole. So let's put a pin in it. I went down a whole rabbit hole one day of a social media thread about a woman who waxes people.
Sure. Okay.
Right. So Brazilian wax, same thing as a gynecologist, right? And everyone on the thread was talking about how terrified they are to go get a Brazilian wax done because they're like, oh my God, you're all up in my bits. And, all you see all these vages, and what do you think about mine? And the what are they called? What are the names of the people that wax people? There's a whole name.
A waxer?
No. There's like a actual
esthetician.
Esthetician. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Esthetician, not a waxer. Esthetician. They're like, we're thinking about what we're having for lunch. We ain't thinking about your coochie or anything else.
Right,
like we ain't even really. And some people are like, well, I'm a little concerned if you're thinking about what you're eating while you're looking at my vagina. But anyways, jokingly. But like, they're not looking at it the same way that we think. That's all us in our own heads. Because trust me, I've thought about the same thing. I've never done a Brazilian for that reason. I'm like, oh my God, you're all in all my bits, all the parts, all the bits.
I think that's I know we were kind of going back and forth about what to talk about today, but I think this is it. But we have to put a pin in it for just a second. I'm having a slight emergency. Hold on.
Okay.
Hold on.
Listen,
Okay, we're back.
It's Red Wine and Chaos
back.
for you folks.
I'm back. Just out here keeping a whole company in business all on my own. But what we were getting at what I was getting at is like, how many things, I know it can be, again, I know a lot of the things that we talk about on here can be spoken about the greater human population. Mm-hmm. But I can't speak to men and I can't speak to children. I am not either one of those things. I am a woman and I can speak to my experience with things. Mm-hmm. How many things as a woman are you in your head about? Your own head. So many, right?
Girl.
I was just watching this girl on TikTok. I think her name is Kristen. I don't remember. Kristen sounds familiar. Mm-hmm. Kristen Cook, maybe? I don't fucking know. Anyway, she just had this TikTok that I saw either today or yesterday, and she was like, I sit here as a woman in my 30s, early 30s, mm-hmm. with 2 kids, and seeing how kids' life has changed my body. Because mm-hmm. it's not just kids, right? It's life. Like, it's life, mm-hmm. And she was like, and I just sit here and think about all the time I wasted thinking about what Joe Blow on the beach thought about what I looked like in a bathing suit. Mm-hmm. And what I thought about how my arms looked in a tank top, or how my legs look in shorts, or my ass looks in leggings. Like, I've spent so much of my life, so much time of my life has been wasted on wondering what other people think I look like in certain outfits. Mm-hmm. When at the end of the day, it should be about how I feel.
Right. It
shouldn't be about what other people think. It should be about how I feel, because if I feel good, then, and we talked about this in like the bodysuit episode, and I don't know, it was like a fashion episode, but mm-hmm. I'm dubbing it the bodysuit episode because I've actually gotten a lot of compliments on the fucking bodysuit that I wore.
You look great in that bodysuit, first of all.
But like, we waste so much time thinking, and it's not just with what you wear, right? Mm-hmm. It's with everything. Are my legs shaved for the gynecologist? Fuck, they're gonna judge me for my unkept legs,
right?
Or I need to scrub off the first layer of my epidermis, so that I don't have an odor of any kind going anywhere. Yeah. Or we're just in our heads so much about so many things.
Yeah, that's why therapy's a blessing. But even on what we would consider maybe more like surface level type things. So like, for instance, I just had a doctor's appointment yesterday. So I'm about to be 38, heading into 38 next week. Next week, a week from tomorrow, I'll be 38. At 37 years old, heading into 38, I'm experiencing numbness in my left thigh.
Part of my left thigh.
Half of my left thigh. The from the pocket where your pocket would sit in your pants, down that left side, and literally, if you could split it right down the middle to the knee, numbness on just that side, only left side. What the fuck? What the fuck is that? Started Sunday out of nowhere, and I'm like, not sure what this is. So I get up, I do what every logical human being in this day and age does, is you go to the intraweb.
Dr. Google.
I go to Dr. Google to talk to them and see what the fuck could it possibly be before I talk to a real doctor. And I find what actually is then deemed later by a true MD professional that I have this condition or whatever it is, that it's an issue with my nerve. There's a whole technical term for it. It said the word something magausia something disease.
Magausia parasite disease.
Parasitic something disease. Like paralysis is a different word type disease, basically. And so it's a issue with your nerve that like it gets basically kind of gets like clogged up, if you will. and then it can cause tingling or numbness and on the surface level of your thigh. It's a whole thing. And I was like, this is some bullshit. And so I go in and I see the doctor, and she confirms, and she was like, well, you were right on with your WebMD research, you know? And I was like, well, that's great to know. So how do I fix it? She's like, well, there's not much you can do. Sometimes it'll go away on its own. Sometimes it won't. And I said, well, okay, great. So what do I do? Because I want it to go away. And I had, in that search, Googled other, I kept going down the rabbit hole, and there was like a YouTube video of a guy who was using like a roller, like a athletic, like a foam roller type thing, or even he was actually using a rolling pin, but he said you could use that or a foam roller or whatever to try to activate the nerves and try to clear up whatever it is that's kind of clogging that up. And I was like, cool. And she was like, yeah, you can definitely do that as well. And she was like, I would suggest that. And I've been having some like swelling in my left ankle, that same leg. I've been talking to Ashley about it. I don't know if I brought it up on the show before, but
I thought it was from traveling.
Thought it was from traveling.
That happens to you when you travel a lot.
It does, but usually if I'm traveling, I might get it in both ankles. Literally, now it's been only my left leg. I thought, okay, maybe I'm having some circulation issues, and come to find out, it certainly could be if it's related to this whole nerve thing. And so basically, she was like, looks like you've had some rapid weight gain since the last time we saw you. You might want to consider losing some weight. And I'm like, bet. Okay, cool. And then, like at 38, they're talking about, effectiveness of birth control. I didn't know birth control could be affected by weight.
I didn't either.
That was news to me as well. So you go over your whole medical history, and we're talking about all different things. And I'm like, wow, I'm really fucked out here. Okay, I got to lose some weight. Cool. So back on the grind. So oftentimes it just takes, for whatever reason with me, whether it's at work, whether it's in real life, whether it's in weight loss, whatever, sometimes I just need a quick check to check myself. I wish it worked in other areas that quickly. There's one area that it just really doesn't work in, but all the rest of them usually is just a quick, swift kick, and I'm back in the swing of things. So, I guess I got to lose some weight, folks.
My little passive aggressiveness wearing off on you.
Yeah,
that's what that is.
Really, it really is. I was describing a tactic that I used recently to somebody. And you and I had talked about it, and you were like, look at me. I'm rubbing off on you. It's this passive. And literally when I was telling the tactic that I used to that person, they said, oh, a little passive aggressive action there, hon. I was like, yeah, I'm getting really good at it. My best friend, she teaches me every day.
I took a page right out of her book.
Right out of her book. She was so proud. So, anyways, yeah. It was so funny to have somebody else call that out, though. Completely not even in the circle related to anything, but it was funny.
So the one thing I feel like I get in my head the most, and it's me only in my head, is all the stuff with Oliver at school. I am constantly in my head about, well, they're judging him, and they think he's a bad kid, and they're just going to call me all the time, and I can't ever get away from it, and every time I drop him off, they're going to call me, and it's just, I'm always waiting for the phone call.
Yeah.
I am constantly in my head about that.
Right.
Constantly. And John tells me that all the time.
Yeah.
He's like, Ashley, you're the only one that thinks this.
So,
like, no,
I want to know, because my brain works the same way, just about different things, but it works the same way. Like I'm thinking about it before it even happens. I am an overthinker to the core. And so like, I want to know like how people who don't operate that way, like what's your life like?
How does it feel to be the favorite?
How does it feel to just be like, you just operate kind of at a normal pace, or you just kind of take life as it comes to you instead of like thinking ahead? Like, how does that feel? Like, I have no idea.
How does it feel to not be a planner? And I think that's what it stems from.
How does it feel to not suffer from anxiety?
Well, yeah, we're anxiety-ridden planners. You and I.
Situational, completely for me, but yes, I do get it. And like today, I jumped off the deep end. First of all, I've had a long week. Then today, following yesterday's 38-year-old temporary paralysis of my thigh, into a call from my fucking landlord that says my rent's going to go up $100 a month. Just casually, hey, we're just talking to
FYI.
everybody who's renewing their leases. It's September. We're heading into a recession. You're likely not going to get a cost of living raise because your employer isn't going to be able to afford it. And we're going to raise your rent $100 and chips are $7 a bag. So would you like to re-sign your lease? Granted, I haven't even been there a full year, right?
Yeah.
And so instantaneously, I dove deep down into the fucking rabbit hole. I texted you immediately. God damn it! And so I'm like, what am I gonna do? What do I gotta? And instantaneously affected me to the point where it's like I have to change my plans next week, and I can't even do that because I mean, realistically, so though,
Sure.
that makes sense. It's the logical adult thing for me to do to an extent. But
I think that there's this diving off the deep end that you and I can do. I think I do it more often than you do. Yours is much more situational and mine is much more
hypothetical.
Yeah. Yep. And I dive off the deep end and I word vomit, and then the word vomiting is kind of what propels me back up to the surface. But I feel like you and I need to find this, and maybe a lot of other people out there too. I was talking to Aunt Lori about this again today, because we were talking, Oliver does the same thing. Mm-hmm. He told me the other day that he doesn't want to play baseball anymore because one time he hit the ball in the cold and it hurts his hand. Mm-hmm. And now he doesn't want to play baseball anymore. Mm-hmm. I was like, buddy, there's batting gloves. He's like, oh, there are? Yep. We can get you some batting gloves and it'll help. All right, well then I'll play. You were just dead set on not playing because that one time you hit the ball in the cold and it hurt your hands.
He has anxiety.
Yeah. So I was talking to Aunt Lori about this diving off the deep end thing, and she was telling me that she tells her clients, like, there are diving boards at different levels, right? Mm-hmm. There's a 5-foot diving board that's 5 feet off the ground. There's a 10-foot one. And when you're learning how to dive, you don't go to the top, right? You start small and you work your way up. And I feel like I need to start trying to find a more appropriate diving board to dive off the deep end at. I need to find a way to dive off the 5-foot diving board and not the 35-foot diving board. I'm not ready for that. I have no business being up there. I don't know why that's where I go, but that's where I go.
Yeah, and I can't say that I don't usually go to the 35-foot. I would say, and usually what sets me off is there is an event. So oftentimes
There's a catalyst.
Yeah. I'm not usually here all up in there, all up in my own head, unless there's like something that has happened to put me there. So for instance, like I said, the call today, and then I am a reactive deep ender almost.
Yeah.
Like it's not preemptive, it's usually reactive. I'm pretty level-headed for the most part. I can certainly overthink things, don't get me wrong, but it's usually in result of something that has happened. It's not like ahead of time where I'm almost, doing it preemptively. And I don't necessarily go to 35. I don't think I probably hit that middle ground is my guess, and like obviously I'm carrying a lot of weight right now, so it was more amplified probably than it would be if there wasn't as much going on. But
and so that was going to be the other thing for me. I feel like I keep a fairly level head. Mm-hmm. When I'm afforded the opportunity of time to think it through logically, when I'm not under pressure, when I don't need to make a quick decision, when I'm afforded the opportunity of time, I stay in that 5 or 10 foot range.
Yeah.
When I am not afforded that opportunity, I am all the way up to the 35-foot one. I cannonball off that bitch. And then every situation after that, until I bring myself back up to the surface, is cannonballing off that fucking 35-foot diving board.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense.
I've got to find a way to bring myself back down before I can start level-headedly thinking about things again. Mm-hmm. So like something happens with Oliver at school, immediately sets me off every time. And I can't pull myself out of it. Mm-hmm. And then the dishes aren't done, but then John starts cooking. And so now I'm back up to the 35 again. Because I'm like, why the fuck can't you just put the dishes away before you start cooking? So now I don't have to clean up 2 fucking messes.
Mm-hmm.
And then Oliver's refusing to go to bed. Well, then that sets me off again. And it's like, I just can't. If one thing puts me way up there, I have a hard time
coming back down,
separating the rest until I've processed that first thing. And then everything else just kind of falls into place.
That makes sense. I get that. I can see that with you.
Yeah.
I can see that with you because you are very logical with time, and with time to think about your reaction as well. If it's something that's sprung on you, you're gonna, and there it goes. and I think it also depends on what it is about.
Yeah.
You have things that affect you more greatly than others. I would agree the same thing with myself. I would consider myself fairly level-headed for the most part. There are a couple of areas where I struggle. Finances is always one that will set me all the fuck the way off because I deal with financial insecurity. I'm a single woman, I don't have a spouse. It's my income and my income only. And I've struggled. I've been at the bottom of the barrel and I've worked my way up to barely making it. And still trying to figure it out, and now we're headed into and then cost of living is going up, but yet my fucking income is not progressing at the same level in which the fucking cost of living is, and so then I'm back to, excuse me, this feeling of financial insecurity, and that is a terrible place for me to be in because it's something that affects me greatly and always has, and so I think it's just subject, it depends on the subject matter for me. There are certain things that are okay, that's whatever, that's tolerable, I can deal with that, and then there are certain things that'll just skyrocket me into fucking outer space.
Yeah, this whole,
but I don't know if I know too many adults living in this day and age. And when I say adults, I'm gonna say women because I'm closest to women. You know what, I'm not even gonna just pinpoint it to women because I know some men who go the fuck off the deep end too when it comes to certain things.
Everybody has their vice, I think.
Yeah,
everybody's
and so
got their
I
catalyst.
don't know if I do know some people who are just real kind of level. My brother, but he lives life through a very different lens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, his life is different.
Yeah,
and
there are things that set him off.
Yep,
seen it.
Yep.
But he sees things through a very different lens. And there's positive and negatives to that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's very level-headed and just cash, yeah.
I will say this idea of being in your head. There are things that I am avidly there are things I am acutely aware of that I probably will not be able to overcome, and that's okay. This stuff with Oliver will always set me off.
Yeah.
Always. Always and forever for the rest of my life. I'm always going to be an anxious mom when it comes to behavior management. I'm not an anxious mom when he climbs the tree out front.
No.
I'm not an anxious mom when he wants to go to the park.
No.
Not an anxious mom when he literally wants to dive off the deep end in a pool. And that bitch was doing flips the other day.
Mm-hmm.
And I just was like, cool, kid. Just push it out a little further. No big deal.
Understandably so.
But
with the
there's been a lot of trauma with the behavior stuff, and I think that will always set me off.
You. Mm-hmm. It's a trigger.
But then there are other things that I am avidly trying to work on not giving a fuck about. And it needs to be something I can control. And it needs to be something personal. And I think that's why I related so much to that Kristen lady on TikTok where she was like, I never thought that I would be sharing my size and my weight on such a social platform. But if it helps one other person feel good in their skin, then I'm going to do it. And I think that's, for some reason, lately, I would say over the last 6 months, that's it's hitting me hard in a positive way. I'm trying new things with my clothes, and I'm trying not to I'm trying to care what I think about myself
as opposed to what somebody else is going to think about you. Mm-hmm.
Correct.
I love that.
And so, I'm trying to find these little things that I get in my own head about that I can't control.
Mm-hmm.
Like what my vagina looks like when I go to the gynecologist. She don't fucking care.
I don't care how I don't care how much I try to practice not feeling that way. I'm always going to. I'm sorry. That's like your most personal, although you don't feel that way when your partner is all up in them bits. But it's a different fucking story. It doesn't matter then, like they're there for a whole different reason.
Okay.
They ain't there to make sure you good. They there to make you feel good.
Okay.
So I ain't even thinking about that shit then. But like, I don't care. I don't care how. It's always been a thing for me. I don't care. I'm sorry. Like I they could say relax, and it's like fuck you.
Relax while I'm about to fall off this bench.
And then like a gynecologist is one thing. But like an esthetician, you going in for a Brazilian and they all up in there and they like, I'm sorry, like they say that, like I said, I read that thread and they were like, we don't judge, da da da. And I'm like, oh yeah, right. Do y'all talk about us after we leave like they do at the nail salon? I know for a fact they talking smack about my toes or somebody else, not mine. I have fairly pretty toes, but other people's shit. I know you're talking bad. And then somebody came on there in that thread and was honest about it. Like my mom, she's an esthetician and she talks about her. And they were like, your mom ain't shit. And she was like, man, fuck off. Like, let me be. I'm trying to be real while everybody else is capping on here.
I'll just talk all kinds of shit about people at work. Not that I work with, but like clients that I'm like, why the fuck are they calling me?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they I do that with the people in the neighborhood.
See, and you're not even looking at people's body parts.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But I do think that if you what I can say is that I think everybody's in their own head to an extent, but I think if it's something that you truly struggle with and you find yourself being an anxious person, I would consider, if it's not something you've tried before, I would absolutely consider talking to somebody about it because
yeah, I would too.
You might be able to find some relief. I know that I had instantaneous relief after my session today.
And like Laura said, therapy is not for everyone, and that is okay. I don't know if therapy is for me, but I'll tell you who I did talk to was my doctor, and she's like, girl, you got anxiety. Try this. And I did, and I feel a whole hell of a lot better with nice low, mild dose of happy pills.
Yep. Yep. And, like, some people aren't comfortable with the idea of therapy. It is, it's got to be something that you're open to doing because again, it's not if you're not willing to you really have to go in there with no inhibitions and you have to bear it all or else it's kind of pointless.
Yeah,
it really is because you're talking to somebody who doesn't know you. They don't know you from Adam.
Right?
They don't. They'll get to know you, especially if you're with them for a while. My therapist knows the shit out of me. He knows what the fuck I'm coming to him for. He knows instantaneously what it is. And 3 years down the road, as we're working through something completely different that I saw him for, he knows me well enough to know. It's like he says all the right things. There's never a moment of,
man, what the fuck?
No, never. And he's never trying to tell me to do anything specifically. It's literally guiding me to figure it out on my own. How can he help me find ways to maneuver and to work through some of this stuff that is kind of deep rooted.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's amazing. I trust that guy. I love him. Man, if I ain't have him, Lord have mercy.
And then there's people like me. So I just need it to be named. I need somebody to just tell me what's happening. I'm an informational driven type of person, and it would be hard for me, I think, to sit through therapy.
I promise you would get fucking annoyed. I can tell you that right now. It's not for you. And because I know I have another friend who very similar is like, it's not for me either. Like, I don't want to fucking come in here and talk to you and you try to ask me. So a good therapist, because you can't impose what you think as a therapist,
Right.
like what you think somebody should do in their feelings and their situations. Your job is to help guide them and provide them resources as to how they could potentially assist you in being able to figure that out and maneuver and manage that yourself, right? They're equipped with the education and the tools to help you suss through all of that yourself. What I would say, a not great therapist is going to try to tell you something to do, right?
Right.
And so you would hate that because it's not direct. It is a lot of discovery. And you feel, I promise you, I walked out of there today, and while I have homework, there's a long list of things that I need to do that I'm not going to even touch on for months to come, because I see him bi-weekly. So I won't see him for another 2 weeks.
Right.
You would feel so incomplete and pissed off.
Yeah.
You'd be so annoyed and irritated because they don't give you the answers. It's not here's the information here. Fix it with this.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, and I can't. So
you would be so fucking irritated.
So when I had postpartum depression really bad, I remember going to my doctor, and she was like, "And how are you feeling?" And I lost it. Because it was the first time somebody I felt like truly was asking about me, and I lost it. And I was like, I just feel like I'm terrible at this. I hate being a mom. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I cannot. And she was like, honey, you have postpartum depression. Let me help you. Mm-hmm. And she helped me.
What happened with you at that point?
I can't remember if she prescribed me an antidepressant or if she...
Oh, you were able to get some meds?
I think so. If I'm remembering correctly. I'm pretty sure I did. But I wasn't on, if I did, I wasn't on them long, because it was almost just like the act of somebody naming it. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, well, that makes sense.
Oh,
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm not a shitty mom. That makes sense to me, right? Like you're giving me something tangible that makes sense.
Oh, great. Okay, yeah. So that doesn't.
And it was the same way when my doctor, 9 months ago was like, honey, you have anxiety. Mm-hmm. And I really think that these will help you. Mm. And I was like, okay, great.
And you felt?
And I felt better talking about it. And I felt better after I took the first pill. Yeah. And now while I still sometimes dive off the deep end with the stuff with Oliver, I don't necessarily go to the 35-foot diving board anymore. Yeah. I manage it a lot better, maybe at like the 15-foot or the 10-foot, and I don't stay in it as long.
Yeah, so therapy isn't going to give you a pill, and they're not going to give you... Oh, he's given me him and I both have very much so, because I do a lot of reflection on my own and a lot of research on my own. I can pinpoint what the fuck is going on, but it doesn't change it. It doesn't magically fix it.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't just go away. It's like, oh, that's your problem. Solved. Problem solved. Clearly that's not the fucking case. So it's like, okay, what work and plan of action do we have to put together for you so that you can stop repeating the same patterns of behavior?
That's not for me.
No. It's not for you.
And I'm not knocking it. No. I think it's a fantastic tool for people that
works for people
that are open to it, that it will work for, that's their course of
Well, and if you think
action.
of it, Ashley, if you think about what you know about me and things that I struggle with, a pill, it's not going to change anything.
No. My path is not yours, and your path is not mine.
No, like there's no magic formula that's like, oh yeah, there you go, it's fixed.
Right.
I feel better.
Right.
I can temporarily, I'm sure anything. I mean, that's what I use fucking edibles for and wine. Yeah, I can feel better in the moment, but it doesn't change the issue that I'm struggling with. And so you have to be willing to dive deep. And again, it's not for everybody, but if I want a different outcome, then I have to do that work. I have to, or else I'm going to keep doing the same fucking shit.
So,
which is what I've been doing for years.
I think the moral of today is we should end maybe every episode with a moral of the day. I don't know. I'm playing with all these new things that we should do. The moral of the day is therapy is a beautiful thing. Anxiety pills are a beautiful thing. Everybody having a different path is a beautiful thing. Get out of your head. Understand that grace is necessary. Growth is not linear. And it is appreciated if you decided to not be a dick.
That's really the nugget at the end of every episode. I don't really know if there's a moral of the day. Just don't be a dick.
The moral of the day is don't be a dick all day, every day. Is our life motto.
Because chaos ain't going nowhere. Because it is literally
there's
inevitable.
wine. And I'm going to end it next week for Lara's birthday. We are going to Free Run Cellars over in Berrien Springs, I think, for Lara's birthday. Our beautiful friend Georgie is hosting a wine dinner in the vineyards. So next week, while y'all are listening, Lara and I will be drinking wine and
enjoying
food.
a delicious like Italian spread with. It appears to be some whites, so we're gonna, we're
broadening.
Yeah,
next week,
opening our palate.
But we'll get there early enough for a glass of red.
Listen, I don't give a fuck if it's all white with that food. I don't care. Like, first of all, I'll drink white. I don't discriminate. Like, it's not like
we just gotta bring
turn
the
my
Tums.
nose up to it. And I'm going to take my medicine before I go.
But I think when we record next week, we should have a bottle of Free Run Cellars wine when we record.
Okay.
And then the following week, we'll tell you all about it.
Yeah.
Because
Very
we're
excited.
looking forward to it.
It's my birthday.
To celebrate the big 3-8.
Gross. Fucking big 3-8. Cool.
So cool.
So cool. Rounding the corner to the 40s.
40's going to be fun. We're going to do 40 on the
40,
beach.
Fabulous. Fix.
40 and fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I like it. 38 and great.
Yeah. Starting it out with a bang, folks. Got a whole left leg that doesn't work and everything else.